What's new, crew? Welcome back to my channel. My name's Cassandra. We are rocking out a ton of easy, no make freezer meals, no cooking involved here. The night before, I pulled out a ton of meat from my freezer, and we are going to be making just some really easy convenience items that I like to keep on hand heading into garden season. It is the end of June, which means things are going to start coming out of the garden here in the next couple of weeks. A lot of my free time and a lot of my mental energy is going to be on the garden and preserving, which means I want to have some easy meals to just pull out and have ready to go for me. This is my current self giving my future self a little helping hand. So we are starting with some teriyaki pork chops. This is one of my family's absolute favorite meals. This is around 3.5 pounds of pork chops, soy sauce, water, a little bit of onion powder, garlic, ginger, brown sugar. You can do honey instead. It's absolutely delicious. And all we had to do was dump the ingredients in a bag and put it in the freezer. I also wanted to get a batch of cinnamon rolls going. My original plan was to do a double batch, one for breakfast and one to put in the freezer. But I actually completely ran out of flour. We'll talk about that in a second here. So we did a single batch. My plan was also to do some cookie dough balls for the freezer, but like I said, we ran out of flour, so that got vetoed. And I wanted to move on to start making some meatballs. These are one of my favorite things to prep for the freezer. Very easy, very simple, and I am always happy that I have meatballs in the freezer. We're doing a couple different meatballs today. We're also doing some meatloafs and some burger patties. We're also going to make some uncrustable sandwiches. So I have our second thing of meat defrosting. Our cinnamon roll dough is done. My original plan was to do a double batch, but after doing one batch, this is all the flour I have left. It's maybe a cup. So no extra cinnamon rolls. We're just going to do a single batch today. And that also means I'm not going to be doing cookie dough today. I don't know how I missed that. I thought I had a full bucket of flour. Turns out I did not. So it just something that I overlooked during June's grocery shopping. So I'm going to have to make sure that I get probably 2 bulk things of flour for July. That way I can have both of my 5-gallon buckets full and my little thing that I keep in the pantry up here. So that was a little bit of an oversight on my end, but it does happen from time to time. I don't like to get that low on like my sugar, my flour, oats, things like that, or rice, but sometimes it does happen, and this just happened to be one of those times. But we got our pork chops done, our first batch of meatballs done. I decided to keep them really big this time, so we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna try those. I have our second round of hopefully defrosted meat here. I'm hoping that I don't have to do this with every thing of ground beef that I pulled out. I thought it was going to be enough time for everything to thaw. Usually it is, but maybe with the air conditioner running all night, it just didn't quite get hot enough in here for them to defrost, but that's all right. So all I have in here is about half a package of turkey stuffing mix. That's it. And then our 2 pounds of ground beef. I've done this twice before. I've made this with Italian sausage and the turkey stuffing, and then I've made it once with a 50-50 split, half ground venison and half ground beef, and cornbread stuffing. So really you can do whatever you want. These are family absolutely loves these. We've done these on top of rice or on top of mashed potatoes. Both are very delicious. And then we just top them with a regular brown gravy or turkey gravy, chicken gravy, whatever you have. They are really, really good. Even my kids who don't like stuffing like these meatballs. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get these meatballs rolled up. Then I'm going to stick this whole tray in my chest freezer for them to flash freeze. And then I'm gonna label bag them right away so I don't forget to do that. And then I'm just going to move on, and we are probably going to do our meatloafs next. just because that's going to take a little bit more ingredients, a little bit more time. So I will catch up with you guys in a second after I get these meatballs rolled in the freezer, the kitchen reset just a little bit, and I pull out a couple different ingredients that I'm going to want to put in our meatloaves. In my bowl, I have 2 shredded carrots, about probably 1/4 cup of diced green bell peppers from last year's garden, 2 handfuls of frozen spinach that I just crunched up super small, and that other half of the turkey stuffing packet in this bowl. Now, what we're going to do is take our ground beef here and put it in here. I have 4 pounds here total. And this is basically just a veggie packed meatloaf. I'm also gonna throw some spices in here to make it a meatloaf. I don't have any packets of meatloaf seasoning right now, so I'm just going to ever so quickly Google what spices are in meatloaf seasoning. I've been wanting to do that anyway, so I can start making it myself in bulk and have it on hand. So kind of doing 2 things today with that, but I'm just going to look up what spices are in those. Whatever spices I currently have is going to go in this meatloaf. Whatever spices I don't have, we're just going to say, oh well, it's not meant to be for today, and that's going to be our meatloaf. I'm also going to crack an egg in here. I just wanted to wait and see how this was looking with the meat ratio. I do have extra boxes of stuffing if I need to. The stuffing is just gonna act like our breadcrumb. Normally you would throw in bread ends or pieces of bread, whatever you have, and that's what that stuffing is going to be for us today. And then you can serve this with gravy, tomato soup, ketchup, barbecue sauce, really whatever you want. But I love that it's packed full of veggies, because then everyone's getting an extra dose of veggie. If I don't have time or I don't have the brain power to put a fresh vegetable on the side, which isn't really likely in garden season because there's just so much fresh produce. But if that is the case, or maybe it's a case where I'm out and it's dinner time, my husband can pull out one of these meatloaves, pop it in the oven, make some mashed potatoes or a side of mac and cheese or something like that, whatever he wants, and it's kind of all right here, ready to go and super easy. So that's what I really love about these. So I'm gonna give my hands a quick wash, look up what kind of seasonings are in meatloaf seasoning, and we'll come back and resume. It actually looks like I have most of the ingredients here, which is good. So we're gonna do a little bit of onion powder. I'm not gonna add any salt because the pre-made stuffing mix is already pretty salty, so I'm gonna skip that. He wants pepper. Parsley flakes, paprika, and garlic powder. So really basic things, who knew? Here's my garlic powder. I don't know if I have any parsley, but we're gonna check. I don't have any parsley, but what I do have, this is some homemade celery salt that I made, I think a year or 2 ago. It's fantastic. I will show you guys how to make this come this garden season, but instead of the parsley, I'm just gonna add a little bit of this celery salt. It should add that same kind of flavor. Well, not flavor, but it'll give it that same kind of like herby thing to it, and it's much more subtle than something like oregano or basil or chives, which are the only other spices that I have right now, or like thyme or something like that. So, oh wait, you know what I do have? I have fresh parsley growing on the deck right now, but it's pouring rain. You know what, we're gonna save it. We already added the celery salt, so it'll be fine. And I'm going to just mold it in the shape of a meatloaf. No bread pan required here. And this is going to be our 2-pound meatloaf. Normally in the past, I would do 2 1-pound meatloaves, but my kids absolutely devour this meal. It just kind of happened all of a sudden. And now that I'm making it like I make the meatballs that they really like with the stuffing in it, I think it's gonna go even quicker. So I'm going to just take my 2-pound meatloaf here, just like this, and I'm going to leave it like this. Now, we're gonna do the same thing. We are gonna par freeze it, just like this in the freezer. It's gonna hold its shape, and we'll be able to slide it right into a Ziploc freezer bag. If you're worried about it fitting in your freezer bag, you can take a freezer bag, kind of lay it over your meatloaf, make sure that it fits. Cut them in half if you need to, put it in the same Ziploc bag, or split it in half like I have done in the past. This is gonna go in the freezer. We're gonna do the same thing. I'll catch up with you guys in a second after I get the kitchen reset, put away ingredients that I no longer need, and just kind of get reset up here. So I'll catch up with you guys in a second. So I already have a whole gallon of burger patties that I pressed, but I didn't want this to be super redundant because I've shared making burgers a ton here on this channel. So I just want to do a really quick recap in case you're new or you're wondering how I do this. So I have this $1 burger press from the Dollar Tree or from Walmart or something. My mother-in-law gave this to me. I have these patty paper squares. I also got these from the Dollar Tree for $1. They came with 100 sheets of little parchment papers, essentially. Very much so worth the $1. Little parchment papers. I've also used these, give these to the kids while they're decorating Christmas cookies. They're just a perfect little square. They work really well. But $1, you can't beat it. I'm just gonna take my ground beef that we seasoned, Lawry's, a little bit of accent, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder. You throw in some Cajun. I've also thrown in feta and spinach in here. I've thrown in mushrooms. I've thrown in handfuls of cheese. Really, it is up to you, whatever you want. You can mix it, do 50% pork, 50% venison, or whatever you want. Really, really good. You could also throw in, if you had extra bacon in your fridge, you could chop that up, throw that in here, and you could do a bacon burger. Really, it is endless. I like to keep mine either very specialized and labeled and separate, or very basic. I like to keep mine separated from very fancy to very basic, because then if I want to take these patties and make a Salisbury steak, I can do that. If I want to take these patties and make them into a burger, I can. If I want to make them a pizza burger, I can. So they're just a little bit more versatile that way. That's what I like to do, but that's just me. Do what you like. So we are just going to give this a little mix, because this is some fresh ground beef. Now I'm going to take my burger press, put in a handful of ground beef. I like to push it down just a little bit, just to make sure that I'm getting a good amount in here. I'll give it a quick press. Take my patty square, try to keep it out of the juices, and flop it on there. It is that simple. Now I'm going to put these in my gallon Ziploc bags. I'm going to lay them flat. I can fit 8 in a gallon Ziploc bag like this. We're a family of 6. My youngest 2 always split a burger. My oldest 2, it's about 50-50. My oldest is 8. She's getting to the point where she'll just eat a whole burger, but burgers are also one of her favorite things. My second child isn't as big of a lover as my oldest is when it comes to burgers. So sometimes she'll eat half, sometimes she'll eat a full one. It really just depends. So assuming that all 4 of my kids are splitting a burger, me and my husband are having one, and I want to have leftovers for the next day for lunch for my husband to bring to work, that's usually about 6 patties. So it works really well to be able to have 8 in a package, which is about, you know, it's a little over a meal's worth for us with leftovers included. So that's how I break it down. At least that's my mom math. Your mom math might be very different. I know in a couple years from now, we're probably going to need double this, because as all 4 of the kids get older and in teenage years, they will probably be eating a burger and a half each. Who knows, 2 burgers each. So we're really gonna have to see, but here we go. It's that simple. Then I just take my bag that I already labeled while I was doing a little bit of a kitchen reset, and I just slide it in. And then I just do the same thing. I think I've only got 1 more burger's worth of meat in here. Okay. So I ended up getting 10 burgers, which is great. I have 2 more pounds of ground beef. I wasn't sure if I was going to defrost it or not because it's still pretty frozen. But now that I see that I have more room for burgers in the second bag, I think I'm just gonna defrost it and get these pressed as well. You know what? No, I'm gonna leave this out. We're just gonna use this meat for dinner tonight. I'll make sloppy joes or tacos or something. So I'm just gonna leave this out and let this be. I have one more thing that I'm really hoping to get done while my kids are still sleeping, and that is to make some bulk uncrustables with those loaves of bread. So I'm just going to get this cleared off, get my counter wiped off really well with all of this juice and stuff, and I'm just gonna start rocking out a ton of uncrustables and see how many of those I can get done. So let's push our luck, shall we? I have done this enough times now to know that this is the best system for me. I have 2 loaves of bread laid out here, and I have them in sandwich pairs. So these are all sandwiches. These are all sandwiches. I will take it and put peanut butter, jelly, then put the tops on, and I will come through and poke all of these into crustables with my crustable maker. And then I'm going to put these right back in the bags and tie them back up with the bread ties, throw these in the freezer, and it's good to go. So you don't need anything special. You don't need Ziploc bags, just save your bags. And then I set aside my bread ends. I'll also put these in the freezer, and when I have a full bag of these, I will grind them up in the food processor and make breadcrumbs out of these, so nothing goes to waste. And then whatever I cut off with my crustable maker, all of the crusts, I suppose, I'm gonna put those in my chicken scraps bucket. The chickens will get those, so literally nothing is going to waste here. Even everything that we are going to be cutting off, the chickens will get, they will eat and enjoy. So I have these linked down below for you guys. I got these on Amazon, very inexpensive, as long as you get the basic shapes. Those fun shapes can be more expensive. So I have circles, I have squares, and I have triangles. So that's what we're doing today. So let's whip out as many sandwiches as we can. I can hear Cleo starting to kind of wake up. She's starting to kind of wrestle a little bit. So we're gonna see if I can get all 4 loaves of bread made into sandwiches. We're really gonna have to see, but let's see what we can get done. For the Uncrustables, I wanted to do a little bit of a cost breakdown for you guys. I looked up on Walmart.com, and for a 10-pack of Uncrustables, it is $9.50. So it's about $10 after tax. It's going to be around $10, which is $1 a sandwich. I already had this peanut butter on my shelf. I already had all of this bread in my freezer for once a month grocery shopping, and I did end up taking a thing of jam or jelly from the store. We do make a lot of our own jams ourselves. However, we're pretty much out of jam. So I had to buy this one just to make sure I had enough to do all the sandwiches that I want to do. So there's that. I also made a second batch of these sandwiches, not on camera, but later this day, and I put apple butter in them instead. That's the first time we've done apple butter in our freezer sandwiches. I'll keep you updated on how that goes, but very simple and very easy. Then I just took my crustable maker and whipped these out. A lot of the things that we did today are not hard. It's just about taking a little bit of time to kind of do them. So I woke up early this morning. I got into the kitchen a little before 7 a.m. My husband this was a Saturday and my husband was working this morning. So when he got up and left for work, I kind of laid in bed for a little bit. Then I got up and started doing this. Sometimes with a lot of little kids, I don't always want to get up early to work on these things, but I'm always really grateful when I do, just because if I would have waited to do this later in the day, I'm sure a lot of parents can relate to this. This probably would have taken me 3 or 4 hours between all of the kids. So it was really nice to just rock this out in like an hour and a half and get all of this stuff in the freezer. By the time we were done with our sandwiches, our cinnamon rolls were ready to be rolled, which is awesome, because then I also had a really yummy breakfast for everybody after being up in the kitchen. So it was really nice to have just a really good cinnamon roll. So we got these cut, got these in the oven, and everything was done. We got however many meals we ended up getting in the freezer. We'll do a little recap here in a second, and a really delicious breakfast on a really rainy, kind of gloomy day. And these warm cinnamon rolls were just absolutely perfect for the kind of morning that was happening, and they were just amazing. So this is a quick recap of everything we were able to get done. We have our 2 different types of meatballs here, our veggie packed meatloaf, lots of burger patties prepped, our very simple, easy teriyaki marinade, teriyaki pork chops, fantastic. We have our cinnamon roll dough, which is going to be ready to be rolled out and taken care of here in a little bit. And we got lots of uncrustables made. I'm very happy with this. I'm gonna call this good for today, you guys. I would love to be able to take care of a couple more things before all the kids wake up. This took us about an hour and 20 minutes to get all of this done. That included cleanup. So I'm super happy with this. My kitchen is mostly reset. I just have to unload a couple things in the dishwasher and we're gonna be completely ready to go for the day. This is a huge thing I wanted to get done, taken care of today, and I got it done all before 9 o'clock. It's like 8:20, so I'm super happy. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are, rain or shine. I hope you're making the most of it, and I'll catch you guys in another video.
Give me comfort when I feel alone. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better.